I'm Jelelle Awen. This is day 31 of 33 in my series called Deepen. And as we're getting to the last days and the last videos, I'm feeling there is this energy of a deepening energy. There's places we've been along the way to set the stage for this deepening experience. And I also want to say that there's some beautiful places you can go by doing these videos, and I've been hearing from people that they're accessing some amazing new things for themselves. And also I do recommend a one-on-one session with myself for women 25 and older, and our other facilitators that you've seen in this series, Gabriel and Raphael, who work with women and men, and Kalena, who works with women 25 and under. Those sessions really take what we've been opening up in this series, what you've been personally opening up, and allow us to apply specifically what we know about the process and what we've experienced as facilitators to you. It also allows for a pretty important digestion, because so much could be coming up. And that session space allows you to digest it with someone who has been there. So I highly recommend doing that. It's $55 USD minimum donation for a very full 90 minutes. So it's definitely worth it. And that's the feedback that I get, is that the sessions are powerful. They really help integrate and digest what's coming up from this series. So an area I've been really wanting to go into in a little more depth today is the awakening of our galactic consciousness that then leads to the activation of light language or star language. And I covered the area of healing toward this in day 21 in the star seed, where you meet your star seed and you start bridging to your star family. So light language, it's very interesting to me because it's almost a status symbol in ascension and spirituality. I'm not sure why. It's strange kind of from my perspective, because it's just another waveform, and it's another expression that comes out that just gets activated organically as you're connecting with your star seed, as you're helping that part of your Metasoul heal from the abandonment, the experience of being in 3D density and no longer with star family. As you're healing those visitation experiences you've had this life, which I haven't really met someone yet who hasn't had them, so especially if they're drawn to this work. So you can almost assume that you've had visits with your star family this life, and that those visits were set up for a reason by your soul, that they're meant as a support to you to get you through the next phase of your incarnation here. Sometimes we also sign up for visitations with beings that are less empathic, less understanding. I've talked about that before too. Whatever your experience was of your star family, you can begin to start remembering it again as you work with this star seed child energy, as you work with your gatekeeper to open up that access and to lift the veil, like I've been talking about. And as you're going through that process and connecting with Metasoul brothers and sisters that are galactic in galactic timelines, light language just starts flowing out. That's been my experience, that it's really this interconnection, this clearing of trauma to make room for the activation. So what you might experience today is that you can't quite go fully into light language yet. What I would invite you to feel instead then, if you can't, is any trauma that you feel connected to star family. Visitations, experiences, it could just even be this feeling of abandonment. And that could be the portal this is an area for which I find that people often need a bridge. And this is where sessions can be very useful, where we can create that bridge to the starseed to feel. Sometimes we really need to go first into the inner child wounding, because the inner child is anchored and can't lift up enough to allow the starseed frequencies to come in. Or there's too much birth family trauma to allow the star family frequencies to come in. So we can meet you where you are in that process. And that might be something you notice today, is that even if there's a strong desire, oh, I want to speak light language, and it just doesn't come out, then it's most likely an invitation to go into some of these other areas first in order to open it out. It's certainly not a matter of capacity, because I feel, and I've been offered, that we all have this ability to speak light language. It's in our DNA. We have, probably most of the people watching this video have more galactic DNA than they do human DNA. Just enough human to get by is what I've been told, for myself anyway. So the capacity to bring in light language is really, again, about this lifting of the veil because of the trauma that's been healed, so that you can actually let it in again. And that is a process, a very integrous, sacred process of lifting that veil through the healing of trauma. I covered yesterday about transmuting trauma with love. And as you do that, light language can be a way also to transmute trauma, because the waveform of it puts you back. Hold on. I think my fifth is already activating, actually, and I have moldavite on it because that helps activate it, but it also brings up some clearing. So that's something I want to say too about this light language piece, is to just be as organic and natural about it as you can be. I've had people say to me, well, I think I'm speaking light language to my dog or my pet. And I'll ask them, why does that feel okay? You know, why do you feel free to do that? And they'll say, well, the dog's not judging me. So one piece I want to talk about with light language is how there can be a punisher, as I've talked about, that judges if it's real or not, or if it's authentic or not, or if it's really light language. I've heard all of this. Or if it's Arcturian, or if it's Pleiadian, or what is it, and where does it come from, and is it genuine? I've heard all of those things. And I feel it in my heart anyway, is that it doesn't matter where it comes from unless it does matter. Meaning, if you're connecting with a Pleiadian Metasoul aspect and you find yourself singing in the beautiful Pleiadian language, that happened for me for a while, where I was just, while I was cooking, I would just be singing, and it's very sing-song and beautiful. So I was in the Pleiadian ray for a while, and then when I would connect with an Arcturian, I would get into their kind of bops and beeps, and it's almost awkward sounding bird, almost like language. You know, I would be in that frequency, and then so what the main thing I would allow is a fluidity of experiencing it, and I would allow it to flow without judgment. So that's something to look at today too. Is there a part of you that's judging if you can do this or not? And because there can be quite a thing out there about activating light language, and you've got to be at this certain vibrational frequency to download it. And while that's true, in one way related to trauma, as I just described, it's not true related to capacity. I feel, again, everyone has the capacity to speak light language. Just we've had to have the capacity. We have many timelines going on right now where we're speaking many languages. So all you're really doing is connecting with those timelines and those aspects that are from your same soul source, your Metasoul, who are already speaking this language. So one thing I really have come to remember is how when I was a teenager especially, and I would visit my star family and the light ships, I would flow into whatever language was needed, not knowing it in a 3D sense, but just feeling it out. It would just come from my soul. They would bring it out of me, and they would also help me. A lot of the communication even is telepathic, so language is not even needed or necessary. I think they put it into a waveform. This whole light language waveform thing is really for our sake. It's a bridge to us. But their telepathic communication often doesn't even require language in the way that we know it. I'm going to focus today, obviously, on sound and verbal light language. But of course, it can come out written in symbols. Some people are really into that. They really, just like those that get very into sacred geometry, they get into drawing whatever comes for light language. Those can be really beautiful activations to take in and see what you resonate with. And the other thing is gestures or hand movements. I kind of always doing that, I think. As you probably noticed in this series, I use my hands a lot. And I'm moving energy as I'm doing that, but I'm communicating as well. So you may find your light language activates through your hands more in these different various ways than it does here. Whenever we're looking at the throat chakra, the fifth chakra, we're feeling into suppression of the voice and suppression of truth and those kind of energies. So you might start to see even some Metasoul timelines where that happened to you, where your truth was suppressed. That's somewhere interesting to go into. That will probably lead to the activation of light language. The other chakra, so we're going to go through some chakras today. We'll go through the ascension ones starting at the top, the personal sun or the stellar gateway, soul star. Then we're going to focus quite a bit on the causal at the back of the head, because what I found is that the causal chakra definitely connects a lot to the activation of light language. It's sort of like a tuning antenna where you can adjust it to almost a broadband of which language wants to come through, and therefore which star family. Sometimes it's the language comes through first, and then you can feel the aspects, the galactic aspects. Sometimes they come, and then the language comes with them. So I think it's different for different people, but I always encourage a personal connection. I'm already activating here, sorry, but I'm going to have you clear your throat too, so we'll just keep clearing together. And let's go into it now and see what happens. You can just take this in as a meditation. I really invite you to participate with me. So whatever light language comes out of me, you also respond in whatever. If it doesn't sound like me, you could be in a very different place, a different spectrum, a different ray of your star family. I'm imagining today, based on what I've been connecting with galactically, lately I've been connecting a lot with new Lemurian energies, as I talked about in my Lemurian meditation. I think it was number 11. So Lemurian is there's so many Lemurian languages, but a version of kind of a First Nations sort of Lemurian language is what's coming out for me right now. So that's probably what will come out. But I've also been connecting a lot to my mantid, who's kind of a father figure, founder energy, Lyran. And he doesn't even really have language. He's so high vibrational, he just kind of gives me language, gives me pictures. But his language is kind of, not something you really want to maybe do a lot of. So some of their languages, you can't really get through the human throat. The frequency, bandwidth, or pitch is just way too high or off. It's just not something that we can physically do. So I have so many times been told, just talk with me. Just whatever comes out, just let it come out. One more piece I want to say before we go into meditation is how often I find light language is activated during sex with Raphael. So we will just light language back and forth at each other. No idea what we're saying. Most of the time it really doesn't matter what you're saying either, unless there's a reason to track it, or the language is just coming out as you're experiencing something deep. But in sexuality, it's very often we have these conversations back and forth that are very intense and beautiful. And we can usually identify which Metasoul aspects are coming through at that time, our Lemurian counterparts or our Pleiadian. It's the ones that like having sex. So Syrian, some of them have kind of transcended beyond that. So they don't come through so much, but it's interesting. All the Lemurians seem to enjoy sexuality. So they will definitely come through. So that's a beautiful thing too, is to begin to share it with someone else. And as a community here, Soulful Heart community, we'll bop about with it too and say it back and forth to each other as well. So the main thing here is to have fun with it, to play, to let yourself be in an unknown around it, that there's no perfection here or exact way, but just to let your soul come through. So go ahead and close your eyes. Bring white light through your chakras to activate them. And I'm going to flow in light language throughout as it comes out. So you might respond back to me however you want to do it, or however it comes out for you. So connect now with your personal sun or stellar gateway chakra, about 2 feet above your head. You can see it as a flower or a ball of light or a vortex of light, however you want to. Begin to move white light through it. Azaba kinchina sinimi ante kuntavse bata. Bundagante, moving down to the soul chakra, which is about 1 foot above your head. Begin to move white light through it. Askamanitala se nampunta kanishine tempe. Asanu ante. Yes, just feeling very Lemurian today. As you tune into these 2 upper chakras, which maybe you haven't worked with that much, just pay them some extra attention of love and light. Galactic consciousness activation seems to come and download through these upper chakras. Sanamakanti Shani Anike Suntakanan PNT. Minambam Pampaka Padabapachapam Padanganakang. And that one was a bit more Arcturian. What I hear in the Arcturian one is that they're available to help with the activation of light language and the galactic consciousness DNA activation. So to connect with your Arcturian aspect can be really helpful. Starting with that star seed, connecting to a light ship, inviting your Arcturian to come forward. There's wonderful Arcturian music out there. They use sound healing a lot. They're kind of combining. And we'll drop back to the causal. That's the chakra in the back of your head. So you're tuning in here. You could even do a tuning motion with your hand. That's helpful. Just start to, as you're talking out, hopefully you're talking with me. As you're talking out, just tune it. If you're shy at first and it's coming out soft, just start tuning. Tune. Feel yourself tuning in. Again, it's okay if it doesn't sound like me. We all have our own unique star languages that come through. Tuning into that causal, bringing a lot of white light to it, opening it up and expanding. Opening up to galactic consciousness. Salame me handele hunde se hondele monde sa hondele entande. That's a little bit of Lemurian and Pleiadian. So I'm saying. Sometimes it's easier to sing it. So maybe that's what's coming for you, is singing. Lante lante santa me lampe onde shame nale. You don't have to be a singer or keep a tune. Just letting the energies move. Letting them move through. So moving, the causal of course is right in the back of the throat. So feeling now the throat chakra. Maybe it's kind of warm. Maybe it's warm right now. Or you want to do a clearing of the throat. May need to clear some things out in order to have it come through. It's this sort of a speaking of your truth. Bringing your multi-dimensional galactic self forward. So you may even feel a little fear or shyness in parts of you to do that. But I hope you're talking along with me. And just bring the light back down through those chakras again, starting at the top with the stellar gateway, bright white light. You could almost see a pulsing energy in that chakra as it activates, moving down to the soul star, feeling it activate and pulse. causal, activating, pulsing alashena mantiki, coming into the throat, alabashena makanti, alashena bampeti, alambadisudu, handebele husta, hundigashena mambe, basebe pipera pampina gantu, kanagashente. So I hope you're talking with me. And we'll also move energy down through the heart, solar plexus, second sacral, and the root. That was more Lemurian. That has something to do with that our chakras are very much like trees. And our root system is as important as our branches. Something like that. The more that you connect with your star family aspects, this Metasoul aspect, fusion happens, this merging happens, good kind of fusing happens, and then there's again more and more understanding on your side of what's being said to you, and eventually less and less need for language. So take in and feel this experience for yourself, where it felt challenging, where it felt nourishing, where it felt foreign or strange, or perhaps very comfortable. But I hope that it was something new for you. Go ahead and open your eyes. And I'm hoping that you'll start babbling all over the place in light language and feel comfortable to do so. So thank you for joining me in this exploration of light language, and I will see you tomorrow.